Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with these nerds.
Nathan Nerdarch.
Nerdarch is Ted.
And today we're going to discuss 3 new ways to use your healing hit die using the Bard.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy, the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
Alright, so we're continuing our series. We're going to add a few new ways to use the healing hit die from 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons, the recovery dice, whatever you want to call them. And we're going to do it with the Bard this time. We've already done the Barbarian. Now, one of the things we're talking about, and I think we've kind of settled on, is your proficiency bonus is actually the cost to expend.
Okay.
So you can't even use it till 2nd level. If you're 1st level, screw you, hippie.
And for most of the time, you're adventuring, unless you expend all of your hit dice, you're going to only be able to use it once or twice.
Yes, so we just want it to be a cool thing you can do, but you're not going to do it all the time. We discussed maybe one for everyone you have, but 20 times a day seemed a little ridiculous at the high levels. The early levels, it doesn't seem like a big deal, but you have to factor in once they start gaining levels.
And we also considered using a quarter of your total and all that kind of stuff, and we're like, nah, too math.
Yeah, it just got weird, and 5th edition's simple, so we should keep it simple too.
Yeah.
All right. So what do we have as options for our Bard?
Okay, so we've got 3 options. We've got a jack of all trades option. So I guess we'll run through them first.
Okay.
We have a improved Bardic inspiration option is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have
the versatility of Bardic inspiration.
First of all, the way these normally work is Jack of all trades is basically anything you're not proficient in, you get to add half your proficiency bonus to, as long as it's an ability check, and that includes initiative.
Correct.
So we decided, well, what would be cool and would kind of speak to the Bard's ability to do things that they're normally not good at, or not that they're not good at, but to speak to the fact that they're good at kind of everything.
Right.
In previous edition too, they also had Bardic lore, which they don't actually have anymore, but it kind of folds into their jack of all trades.
Uh-huh.
So one of the ideas we came up with was, what if they could expend their healing hit dice in order to add a bonus to that, maybe the same as their Bardic inspiration, so they kind of give themselves an inspiration for anything that they could possibly use jack of all trades for.
So this is going to fall into any skill that they're not proficient with, as well as initiative, because there's sometimes you just really want to try and go first. So I think this winds up working out to kind of get rid of that the jack of all trades, master of none, where it's they're already good at so many things, but there's times that they need to be good at other stuff and they're just not trained yet.
Sometimes they just need to be better.
Right.
Or you really, really need to go first for whatever reason. Like the last slice of pizza, you do not want to lose initiative.
That's true. Or, you're preparing for that big fight and you really want to get that mass suggestion off first.
Or there's no thief in your party and you really need to get through this locked door, and the barbarian's taking a nap somewhere.
So that brings us to the idea that we're going to have improved Bardic inspiration. So normally Bardic inspiration, depending whether you're College of Valor or your College of Lore, you have different things that you can use them for. And most of the time, you are going to be giving that to somebody else to use. Not always, but most of the time. But this idea is you're going to expend your healing hit die, one of your usages of the predetermined amount, and you're going to roll 2 Bardic inspiration dice when it gets rolled. And they're going to choose the better.
So this winds up giving you more chances of having that die be more useful. The number of times that someone's been inspired and they need just 2 points higher and they roll that 1, it's oh, come on. It should have been a shoo-in, and you're rolling a D6, D8, D10, and it's not enough.
So when you really, really need to get it done. Also, we had discussed, how the actual mechanic would work. Is it, okay, roll a die, and you can choose to roll another die, keep the second one. Even now, we're well, we thought about it from, a fun standpoint, right? One is the idea that, okay, you've rolled it, the inspiration, and you don't like the roll, and then you roll again and you get a worse roll, which kind of stinks. But at least if you roll them both at the same time and just take the better, it's like you can automatically feel good unless you roll the same number twice, right? Then you're like,
Snake
well,
eyes.
that's kind of my lucky number. So we thought that would be more fun. But not only that, like the idea that you want this benefit to move with that inspiration when it's given, and not be sitting around. So so they have to be used together in conjunction. And I feel like if we did it the other way and said, well, you can choose to re-roll and take the other one, then is it still floating there? Is it not floating there? So I think it like solves that problem too.
Yeah, you give them a super inspiration instead, and it still uses the one use, but they're rolling 2 dice and picking the one that they prefer.
Right, and I think it's more fun that way.
I agree. So the other one was the inspiration of versatility, and this is probably going to be used a little more rarely, but how often is your bard, through economy of actions, not using his inspiration tokens or not handing out inspiration to the fellow players at the table because he doesn't have the actions to make it happen? I've seen it happen at the table, multiple times, where it's like, oh, well, I can't pass it out this round because I used my bonus action for a spell and my action to attack, and all right, well, I'll wait till next round. So if you spend your hit die to give out inspiration as part of another action. So the way I would have this worded is, if during your turn you have not already given out inspiration, as part of your action, you can hand out an inspiration die as per normal, and then you would just have the caveat of, well, you can only do this once a round, so you can't give out another inspiration to somebody else using your bonus action afterwards.
And you can't use it some other time during the round, like in place of like a reaction, let's say.
Right.
You got to use it during your action. But it helps you when you've already cast something like Healing Word or Spiritual Hammer,
Spiritual Weapon.
Misty Step. There's lots of spells that are really useful that soak up that bonus action and won't let you do the inspiration.
And it's also going to be really useful for the Bard of Valor as well, because at a certain point he can make attacks as a bonus action while casting cantrips or casting spells. So I feel like it's going to favor him a little bit more, and he could use a little help anyway.
But if you're going with the Bard of the College of Lore, then you might be actually getting some of those bonus action spells, and you want to use them.
Now, we also, I know we said 3, but we kind of have a bonus one that we kind of discussed as well. And that was the idea of expending your hit die in order to increase your inspiration die. So, your die 6 would go to a die 8, die 8 to die 10, etc. Gets a little complicated once you get to die 12, because where do you go from there? But, does it go to a die 20 or 2 die 8? But it would be another way. It would be another way of using it, and it would probably add a little bit of oomph when you need it. Then again, you might spend it and still roll poorly anyway. So I think with the Bard options they're a little more risky and swingy, but I think that kind of goes with how Bardic Inspiration kind of works.
Yeah, it's following the mechanic of the Bardic Inspiration rather well, I think.
I agree.
So what do you guys think? Is this something you would use in your game? Maybe, maybe not. Let us know in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can check us out over at nerdarchy.com.
Or you can follow us over on Instagram.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.